I always have to check with you every year when we do this podcast is how many years we've been doing this. I thought it was only 6, but you had to remind me that this is our 7th.
This is our 7th, and I probably would have done the math on my fingers, but I actually listened to the beginning of our last year's podcast.
Oh.
And in that one, we said 6. So if you can believe us from a year ago, then yes, this would be number 7.
If the man without a beard at that time was trustworthy enough to believe that they accepted with the 6. But you had a beard, though.
I'm happy to say that in just the brief looking at on my iPad, I looked fairly similar. I wanted to make sure I wasn't wearing the same shirt because we referenced that, it's rare that you're wearing a collared shirt and not as rare for me to wear a long sleeve, especially when it's colder outside. But even though it is mid to late December as we're recording this, it's still in the 76-ish range. And last year I was shocked to know that it was 75 when we were recording. So there's something going on here. What's happening?
There's something. At least it is always a better temperature here in the tasting room. And this is a roundabout way of us trying to say thank you. Thank you guys for all of your support. Thank you for subscribing either here on YouTube, watching me throughout the week on Twitch, watching our live podcasts that we do Thursday evenings, usually around 5:30 or 6:30 Eastern, depending on the time of year. We greatly appreciate it. Like I said, obviously we both love being able to get together. Yep. And as Steve Martin once said, I would do this alone, or I would do this with the two of us without anybody else here. But the amount of people that have joined to come hang out and have had suggestions and offerings and help make this happen to some extent. Yeah. Like I said, with us being able to afford a little something, a little extra special is pretty amazing. So we appreciate all of you very much.
Yeah, we do. We know you have choices on where you can spend your dollars and your time.
That's true.
And we appreciate that you spend some of each of those with us. So so we're very grateful for that. So gives us an opportunity every year to go out and do some shopping.
Yeah.
This year we got together the other afternoon. I think we pretty much had the same journey.
Very similar route.
Same stops as maybe the last year or two. Kind of eyeing thing, sort of process of elimination as we go along, and we wound up getting it from the same place again.
Yeah. It's kind of like what jumps out to us. Like, do we have a feeling? Oh, that's kind of what we're looking for, excitement wise. Like I said, if you're local here to Southern Arizona, it was Rum Runner, it was Total Wine, it was Plaza Liquors, which actually is an amazing selection of stuff. I bought some gin while I was there.
Yeah, I almost bought some gin. We bought some beer.
We did buy some beer there as well. Like I said, it's just this tiny little place where you're kind of like, what is that? And then you go and you're like, oh my, it's quite a cornucopia of things. Yep. So that was really nice. We did wind up again at Total Wine, looked in their extra fancy cases, looked all around. But this is finally the one that you'd mentioned that we'd even maybe had looked at this in the past. I've definitely heard about this series of whiskey for quite some time. It's always been usually talked about in, like it's hard to find. Oh, if you can find one, you should get it. And everything is a little bit different. So, like I said, with all of that being said, unfortunately, we were this year was a little bit leaner, so we weren't able to afford Phil Collins. Like I said, the budget was just a little bit lighter, so we decided with what we had, we put it into the whiskey. And the one that we have for you today for this Thank You podcast is this one right here. We have
a Midwinter Night's Dram from High West Distillery. This is they come out with, I think, different ones of versions of this throughout the years. This is Act 12.
Correct. Act 12, Scene 4, which the scene part from what I read about does not make too much of a difference. It's all, like I said, the act is really what the different flavor profile can be. They're all a little bit different. This one was port barrels. Am I correct? The age, like I said, this is their couple different distillates.
Yes.
That they've put together. Like I said, they have their Rendezvous Rye, which is their own distillate, and then they also do blend that with some MGP, that 95.5 rye that a lot of people are familiar with. That gets blended together in some different percentage. I hear the percentage of the MGP keeps going down for those people that are against or like not as much into the sourced whiskey scene. That keeps kind of going down, and then they, like I said, they age it in port barrels and some, is it French oak? Was that what it was, or just oak barrels? This says port barrels there. Like I said, I think I had read something also about.
Yeah, there was.
There it is, French oak. I found it.
Right.
There we go.
Yep.
So should we crack it open and pour a dram, perhaps?
I think we should. This, we'll just go right to the bottle.
It's a kind of a cool looking bottle too, like very old timey. I know they're going for the whole William Shakespeare thing, which they reference on the back, and like I said, even the label itself has got like an old tattered kind of look to it. Oh, good pop on that. I like that.
Well, I know you said we've had other things from them, and I know
we definitely have podcasted on just their Prairie Whiskey, which is kind of their, like, I think just their every day, like I said, everyday sipper kind of thing. Like I said, that one's not too expensive, $30 maybe, something like that, maybe 40. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I think it's their double rye is like also a big one. They do one of those, and some, like I said, again, this one also is a rye, which always makes me pretty excited. I like the port barrel thing. Like I said, we like things that are in, especially the ryes when they're in the Caribbean cask or Caribbean cask. Definitely have to make sure this one gets hidden from my wife. She's also a huge rye drinker as well.
Because this is also an offering that we bring over on Christmas Eve.
That's correct.
Over to our other brother's house. So, we don't want to, obviously he expects a little bit to be out of there. But if it's half full, he would say no. But
he may question it a little bit. Yeah. Now, we haven't mentioned the price. Do we wait till the end and our thoughts and everything to talk about the price on this one? Not that people that are watching this right now couldn't already be Googling it. But.
Yeah. I think we could talk about that. I don't know when that usually comes up. If it's just sort of an organic thing,
we'll talk about it at the end.
Pluck that, pluck it, but keep it reserved.
Right. We'll keep it in the pocket. Okay. Very nice color, kind of like it's got a little red, like a reddish brown to it, a little bit darker than some of the things at least that I've had lately. It looks nice. Not that color, like I said, means like a ton, but it's, especially if I poured this and it was like Green River Green, that would be a little frightening.
Well, there were
Green
River Green. Yeah, there were a couple times we looked at. I remember some Duncan Taylors in previous years, and we were it looks so light.
And even though it was like
$300,
and even though it was like 20 or 30 years age, like some of that stuff. Which again with Scotch, it's different because they're using used up barrels.
Yeah,
so that's not going to impart as much color or flavor. So it takes more time. Yeah, but still, like I said, just from the eye test, you're like. There's something about it. If you're getting me to open up my wallet for that, it's like there's some color that I want to see with it too.
Yeah,
so
but that looks good.
Yeah, happy with that. The aroma?
The aroma.
The rye spice really comes through nicely. That definitely hits.
That. Yeah. Because that wasn't the thing that hit me at first. At first I was getting like a little caramel, a little fruit, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, and there's the rye spice.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the caramel, the cinnamon comes through. There's definitely like a darker fruit note too from that port. Like I said, that really comes through nicely as well. Kind of creates this nice like undercurrent.
Yeah.
Like of aroma. Like I said, it's kind of the platform for everything else.
I think in reading about it, they talk about like plum, winter pudding and plums, all this kind of stuff. I'm not quite getting those things, at least from the aroma.
Yeah.
But hopefully they're reserving those for the actual
I think definitely
the taste.
I think definitely the plum and the fruit come through, and I know why they, like I said, I know why it's the winter and everything else. Like I said, that definitely, like I said, in part, but very nice aroma though. For the taste,
it's a good start.
Yeah, yes, very good start. Cheers.
Cheers. 7 years. Oh. Spicy.
Yeah, like it definitely is that rye spice is coming through. It's only about 100 proof. It's like slightly under. Yeah. It drinks a little hotter than that, I would say.
I agree with that.
Especially on the tongue, there's a little more spice to it. I do get some nice, some wood notes, some nice barrel kind of like said that, like, I'm not sure what kind, like I said, they're like specifically char or whatever they might be using, but there's a little bit of that coming through, which can be the rye, that kind of almost smoky like quality is coming through. I wish a little more of the fruit came through.
I'm getting it.
I am getting it.
It's in the mix. I wish
always when they do these kind of finishes where it's port or something like that, like a port finish barrel or that, like I'm always hoping for just like a little, like you don't want that to all consume completely, but it's like I could use a little bit more of that, but I overall I like that. Like I said, it's even for all the spice we're talking about, the finish is very smooth.
Yeah. I think even like in reading the description, while I was intrigued by it, I was a little bit nervous, with figgy pudding, spice, this, that, and so I thought, if this lives up to everything they're saying, that might not be my thing.
Sure,
but I also was very curious and wanted to try it. It doesn't live up to me to that type of description, but it's on the right track of that. So I like that. I wish there was a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it's quite tasty though.
Yeah, it is. It is quite good.
And maybe even after being open a little bit longer, maybe by the time we try this again on Christmas Eve, it might have even be giving us a little bit more. But we did have time for it to sit in the glass for a bit and open up. So at least we got it a little bit of a jump start. But
now, it would be a little bit on the pricier side for it, but like I said, while we were sipping and tasting, you were questioning me about an old-fashioned. Was it because you were thinking, what would this be like as an old-fashioned? Because as soon as you said it, that was what I thought then. I was like, oh, this would be a pricey one, but I would, like I said, the spice and everything else in there, if you tamed it down with a little bit of bitters, like I said, whatever you decide to use for your either simple syrup, or if you did like a Demerara syrup or something like that, that could be kind of tasty. And then bring in a little bit of the sweet maybe that we're missing in the port component of it. Like
and
I said,
then all you have to do is, even though they're your friends or your family, just I'm sorry, I just have to charge you $10 for this. Normally drinks are on the house.
Normally they're on the house.
But this one I made with... with a bottle that was, now I guess would be a good time.
Might as well tell it. Yeah.
So what would we pay? 135.
It was 100. It was 135 before tax.
Before tax, so down to like,
which actually wound up being comparatively, at least online. If you look, about 150 seemed to be the starting price, and then up to $200 or $250. Due to like these used to be even more scarce. I have been surprised. I have seen these much more this year. I think in general in the bourbon world, I think some of the hard to find allocated bottles have definitely been showing up a little bit more, a little bit easier to get to. Might not be like where you're at. Thankfully, where we're at, like I said, in Southern Arizona, which is definitely not bourbon country, but it's gotten a lot better with what you can find. So this one was on the shelf, which was a little bit of surprising. This used to either be a case behind the counter, like that kind of thing, if they had it at all, which, like I said, again, you can tell by some of the online pricing. So now the question is, do we ever actually ask, is this worth the dollar value of that? Which obviously we knocked it out of the park like our first 2-3 years. Like every one of those we would pay every penny of this once again.
Yeah, no, up through even the tiers which we saw this year at
did
Rum Runner, the tiers of Urena. I probably wouldn't pay. I think that for this. It's kind of like last year. I think we liked it, and it's nice to be able to have something like this and to try it. And we're, thanks to all of you wonderful
definitely
people.
Yeah, we would not even know if we like this or not.
Yeah, but we're
saving you money really now by telling you that hey, this is good if you can find it at a local whiskey shop where you can get a pour if you want to get a dram or something of that and want to try a little bit.
An actual dram as opposed to the whole bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
But probably like the Will It 4 year would be. You've had it more recently than I have. Would you want that over this?
Well, it's just because of price. This has a little bit more complexity to it, I would say, than that. Just because it has a little, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely not even at the other prices at basically double.
Yeah.
Like I would rather have 2 bottles of it. Like I said, again, I know that turns into a weird conversation.
But it's worth having though.
So if you guys are interested and you really want to push the channel forward next year, there was a bottle we were looking at that was a Willet. Speaking of that, it was an 11 year.
11 year, yeah.
It's about $450. So if anybody really wants to pony up and make us have a really good time, and I am sure we would love that one. If we didn't, we would lie to you completely. Because we would appreciate that so much. You're more than welcome to head on over to all the places.
One of the other ones we look, or at least I don't know if we considered, but I pointed out and we looked at it, the Jack Daniel's, the Sinatra cut.
Oh yeah.
So one of my coworkers, he said, "Damn, that was good."
I mean, there are certain Jack Daniels, like obviously the single barrel rye we love. Like I said, they've got a few other single barrel ones that are pretty good. Because that was like the high proof or whatever.
I think that was 175.
Was it a high proof or was it a?
I don't know. I don't remember it. I didn't look any farther.
I remember the Sinatra selection and that always being. I remember people telling me that was overdone.
Okay,
like that was. But like I said, maybe that's a different one. But yeah, no, I'm 100%, like I said, as this one opens up, I'm enjoying the aroma much more than when we initially had it. That's coming out a little bit more. And I think, that, again, the flavor is really good. Just depends on what your budget is and what you want to spend for different things. I am very glad to have finally had this because I have seen it for so long. We've talked about it. I think, like I said, at least in different whiskey circles and stuff that I'm in, it has come up where people have either looking for it, have had it. So I'm glad to have finally had that for sure.
Yeah, it's very good. It is very good. I'm just glad that we decided to get it.
Yeah, very much so. And if you want to see any of our other podcasts or things that we do here on the channel at About Beverages, YouTube is obviously a great place for you to go check out. Hit the subscribe button. We would very much appreciate that. You can also always find us most Thursday evenings podcasting on twitch.tv/AboutBeverages. I'm also usually gaming during the week if you're into that sort of thing. But if you only want the beverage conversation with this handsome fellow over here, like I said, YouTube is the best place to do it. They might not recognize me. Who knows? Who knows how long this keeps staying?
This is for now. This will live on.
That's true. This now lives in infamy.
Yeah, that's right.
Or famy. What's less than infamy? Is infamy good or bad? How does that work?
Infamy. It's more than famous.
It's beyond famous.
It's more than famous.
It's more than like. It's beyond fondness. But as we always say, whether we like it or not,
you should give it a shot.